So has anyone here struggled with trying to deliver a highly complex project or program of projects to plan, design and deliver this all within 12 months? This is a challenge that local government face every year. I'm James Mitchell, Asset Programming Planner with the City of Onkaparinga, and tonight I'm going to be presenting Getting Ahead of the Game, the Capital Works Transformation. Local governments are unique environments for engineers. Budgets are highly scrutinised, with an increase in community expectations, the emergence of rate capping, and the ever-expanding responsibility to maintain our services and assets. This presentation, I'll be taking you through our journey from 2015 to 2019 of our Capital Works transformation. In 2015, we have this one-year model where we scoped, designed and constructed all within 12 months. And we've transformed that into a 3-year model now, where year 1 we plan, year 2 we design, and year 3 we construct. This transformation involved implementing new strategies, streamlining processes, coordinating stakeholders and managing risks to ultimately deliver sustainable built environments to the community. So first let's take a look at our community. The City of Onkaparinga, the largest metropolitan council in South Australia, has an annual budget of over $200 million to deliver over 200 services to the community. Of that budget, $43 million is devoted to capital works to spend on our $2.7 billion worth of assets. An example of these assets is our road network, which is equivalent to the length of travelling from this hotel to the City of Melbourne and back again. So looking in this transition a little bit closer, let's take us back to 2015, where, as I mentioned, we scoped, designed and constructed all within 1 year. We didn't have an increase in resources, so we had to create realistic goals for ourselves. And we did that first to complete our scoping, and then we matured our design process year on year on year. And we're about to head into the 2019 financial year with 100% of our infrastructure designs, 100% designed, shovel ready to go, which is the end part of our 3-year program, the construct year. So what was the process? There wasn't a quick fix, there wasn't a magic pill, there wasn't any influx of budget, resources, or technologies. We based this on asset management principles and an organisational change to implement our asset management strategy, where whole-of-life decision-making were the building blocks that created this capital works output. We looked at our project management principles in terms of process and delivery to deliver this capital works program, made sure that it was a systemic process, that we had our measurables in place and we identified who was accountable at each section of the project lifecycle. It was also a continuous improvement process and change management process for the entire organisation, changing the way the organisation focused on capital works. It was continuous improvement building on our early and small wins and our early adopters, where we had commitment from leadership and we managed change through individuals at the team level. So where do we start? We started with scoping, which was the first bottleneck for our organisation. We reviewed the process, the tools, and the way people communicated, making sure it was fit for purpose and standardised throughout the department. We focused on the project teams, which we called the primary stakeholders, which were mandatory and standard throughout the program. The site visit was a highly important stage and a hold point for all scoping, to make sure that we looked at our objectives, our outputs, and our optioneering of the projects. We looked back at the past projects before 2015 and why they failed. We identified key risks and common risks throughout all of our projects, and we implemented a strategy at the program level to mitigate these risks. One of these biggest risks is community engagement. Every project we deliver, we have to engage with the community at various levels. Whether we inform, consult, or actively participate, the community and external stakeholders in the delivery of this project needed to be determined at this scoping stage. Ultimately, scoping was done to deliver projects on time, on budgets, and to the quality standards that we set ourselves in the organisations, to design it once, design it right, and construct it right the first time. We start to see some benefits. Firstly, the design benefits. As an organisation, we had limited resources from 2015 to 2019 in terms of our engineering team. Therefore, these improvements had to be continuous improvements year on year, and we found these improvements through our scoping. Due to this communication, there were less assumptions made by the designers, which meant a reduction in rework and scope changes, which ultimately led to a reduction in lost time. And we also identified our service levels, not just the service levels adopted by council, but where we could go outside of these levels for a better cost benefit for the community and identify added value at the design stage. Our construction benefits initially were around planning and scheduling. We deliver work both internally and externally in the organisation, and it was crucial to determine what works we could deliver in-house and what works we had to go externally for. We had to identify the procurement timeframes required so we could still deliver these external projects within the construction year. There was a dramatic reduction in on-site delays through this 4-year transition, and this can be seen through our project change requests. This is a system where we put in a request when there's a significant change within the project year in terms of time, cost and quality. We measured these changes from 2015 to 2018 and saw a steady and dramatic drop in the amount of project change requests that went up to the board. This meant that more work was being delivered on ground, on time and on budget. And that gave us also more time to plan and design for our future years and less time putting out fires in the construction year. So to summarise this transition, it should also be noted that we had increasing programs from 2015 to 2019 and will continue to increase as our assets age and we get more assets. We were, however, able to absorb these without getting additional resources due to the efficiencies and effectiveness we had for delivering these programs and being able to deliver more work on grounds. This could also be seen with our work outputs, where we measure our carry forwards each year. That's projects not delivered in one financial year and the budget's carried into the next. This figure halved from 2015 to 2019. We're about to go into the 2019 financial year with a carry forward of just 1.5 million, which is the lowest that we've seen from the City of Onkaparinga for our infrastructure assets. However, as saying that, it isn't perfect, which is the nature of civil works. It's what keeps it interesting, and particularly in the proximity of the community, issues will occur. So aiming for progress rather than perfection, and controlling what we can control and be agile enough to deal with these variables as they come up in the construction year. So going back to the question I asked at the start of this presentation, is it feasible to plan, design and construct all within 1 year? We've said that it's a requirement to have proactive planning and not a reactive 1-year program. It was also a requirement to have a culture change within the organisation on the way we approach capital works and the day-to-day functions that occurred in our teams and how we communicated. Asset management maturity was also crucial. You have to be confident in your level of data capture and renewal programs. If you're going to plan 3 to 5 years out, you have to make sure that that work gets delivered on ground in 3 to 5 years and you don't waste resources planning and designing for projects that won't get delivered. And finally, there was a political change. This was to do with long-term sustainability and intergenerational fiscal management, which doesn't always align with a 4-year political cycle and the political priorities of the day. This meant that there was an educational process for council and elected members in terms of asset management, infrastructure investments, and long-term sustainability of council to make sure that we deliver on the service levels that we've set for our community. So to conclude, going into 2019, the City of Onkaparinga will be delivering $165,000 of infrastructure every single working day of the year. To do this capital works transformation was absolutely required for our work to be delivered efficiently and effectively with less carry forwards and more work being delivered on grounds, to have a long-term sustainable council and ultimately deliver better services and quality of life for all of us in the community. Thank you.